What's happening? It's your boy. I'm back again, man. So today, the subject I want to talk to you guys about is how to deal with bad coaches. I've been getting a lot of emails and a lot of people hit me up speaking on their coaching situation, saying that, the coach did this, the coach did that. This is why I'm not in this position. Um, and I really want to help the guys who are dealing with these coaching problems because what I started to see with guys who deal with coaches and always have a problem with the coach is that they always have a problem with any coach. So when you're dealing with bad coaches, the first thing I'll say, I'm gonna give you 4 tips, but the first thing I'll say is you gotta look in the mirror. So it's important that you take accountability for your part in not being agreeable with the coach. I mean, I see so many guys. There's no coach that's perfect. So let's get that out the way. There's not a bunch of Steve Kerrs walking around. That's why these guys get paid the big bucks in the NBA. So, I mean, on your high school team, it's probably a teacher who had some lost NBA dreams that now he's projecting on his players, or maybe he has favoritism for certain players because certain players remind him of him, and you may not remind him of the type of player he used to be. Coaches can be biased, no question about that. So let me start off by not denying that fact that coaches can be biased, coaches can be bad coaches. However, that is something outside of your control. You cannot control if a coach is going to be a good coach to you or a bad coach to you. So it's important that you take accountability on what you need to do, right? So if there's somebody playing in front of you, I ask you this. If you put a guy like Lou Williams, okay, let's do a guy that's a decent size. Lou Williams is what, 6'2", 6'3", and you put him on your JUCO team, you put him on your high school team, and he had no connections. He just went there and just said, all right, I'm going to start playing. Do you think your coach is going to sit down Lou Will and not play him? Ask yourself that. No, he will. I'll answer it for you. He will not sit down Lou Williams. You know why? Because Lou Williams is that good where you cannot afford to put him on the bench. So I say that to say this. Are you that good where your coach cannot refuse to play you? Is the reason the other guy starting in front of you, is it that close? Is it between you and him? Are you guys that close in game where the coach coach can play favoritism? Because if you were Zion Williamson, if you were a Lou Williams, there will be no he will find a way to play you both, him and the favorite player. So that's something that I realized when I used to deal with coaches, and coaches have favoritism towards other players too. Because I'm not saying I never dealt with it. I dealt with it in college my first 2 years. Our coach had favoritism for certain players. But then I had to look at myself and say, I'm not killing the guy in front of me. I'm better than him, but I'm not killing him. And so that's why he has an excuse to play him more than me, because I'm not just blowing him out the water in practice. I'm not blowing him out the water in games. So look at yourself and take accountability for what you need to do. Second tip I got for you guys: be a hard worker. Coaches cannot resist a hard-working player. I ask you guys this. Are you doing everything you need to do when it comes to your certain situation with your coach? Are you making sure that you're working hard every day? Or are you letting the situation with the coach affect your effort level? Are you letting the coach and your feelings towards the coach affect your effort? Because now you're like, I know how it is, bro. So you ain't got to even tell me. I know when you don't like a coach, you're like, man, I don't even feel like doing this. Now everything the coach say is a problem. So now you're not a hard worker. I say this, make this small adjustment in yourself. Be a hard worker, not for the coach, but for yourself. Because if you're a hard worker in one thing in life, you're a hard worker in everything in life. So push yourself for your own motivation, right? So for the next opportunity, you won't be in a bad habit of not working hard. Be a hard worker, run hard every single time. Improve yourself. Do it for you and making sure you take your game to the next level. Take those charges. Play hard on defense. Hard on defense. I'm telling you, coaches always have a spot for a guy who can play good defense. A big reason a lot of you guys probably don't get the playing time is because you probably can put up 20 points, but you give it right back. You don't stick defense. You don't stick to your rotations. You don't listen to what the coach is telling you to do. You don't follow the game plan. You don't remember the plays. You're not a hard worker, because if you don't know the plays, if you're naturally not good at remembering things, you work hard at trying to remember. Study the plays, study the playbook. Y'all not going to do that work. You would rather blame the coach. And the reason a lot of y'all start blaming the coaches is because that's what your parents put into you. That's what your parents instilled into you. And a lot of it is the mama stuff, all right? Dads can be biased sometimes, but dads can be a little bit more realistic. But moms, oh no, not my baby, no. Oh, it's the coach's fault. It's the coach's fault. And parents don't realize when you always blaming the coach for something, that rubs off into the kids. So then when they go to college and then they ain't got mommy and daddy around, they calling home every day complaining about the coach. And then you know, as a parent, you just supporting that type of nonsense. So don't let your parents' opinion, because at the end of the day, that's you and the coach. You know, high school, college, overseas, it's you and the coach. So, you know, start being a hard worker and putting that effort in. My third tip, have a better relationship with the coach and start to build a relationship if you don't have one. A big problem a lot of guys I've seen and that I've dealt with when it comes to coaches is that, you know, building that rapport with the coach and having a real man-to-man conversation or woman-to-woman conversation if if it's girl sports. But, you know, a lot of times you spend so much time talking to your teammates about what you don't like about the coach. You talk to, you know, your parents. You talk to everybody else but the coach about what you don't like about the coach. When you could have just went up to the coach as a man. This is a good life tip too. When you got a problem with somebody, don't start going to everybody else. You know what I mean? Go and talk to the person directly, because when it comes down to it, the problem can be resolved, and he probably thinks a certain way about you because you're not talking to him, and now you got some tension for no reason. And the only reason you guys have tension is because your attitude's not right and you're not going up and speaking to him about what you feel. So I say this: if you're not getting playing time, go up to the coach and you ask the coach, hey coach, man, I really want to get some more playing time. I really want to be helpful to the team. What do I have to do? How can I improve? Don't tell your mommy to do it. Don't tell your dad to do it, because I did this. I let my dad do it. I was like, I didn't want to talk to the coach, and so I told my dad to go basically, you know, talk. My dad did it himself, but I was complaining like, oh, I want to run point guard. My coach had me at the 4, and instead of putting me at point guard. And so my dad, you know, he did it behind my back and went and talked to the coach. And so then, you know, we go to practice and the coach throwing, you know, subs at me like, oh, you guys calling your parents, telling them that you want to do this, to do that. And, you know, he's being, you know, petty. But in my head, I'm just like, is he talking about me? And then I find out, oh, it was me. And now he feels some type of way that I talk behind his back. So now he don't know what I'm thinking. When I could have just went up to that man and told him like, hey, coach, I want to play point guard. Like, can you put me in a position? What do I have to improve on? Is there a way I can get some minutes at point guard? And then with me and him having that dialogue, it would have helped so much more as far as like him trying to figure it out, because we have a relationship and I know what he's thinking. He knows what I'm thinking. I don't have to guess what he's thinking. I don't have to guess what he perceives me as. He doesn't have to guess what I perceive him as. It's all on the table. And now when you really have that conversation and that relationship with your coach, when you can go up to his office and you can talk to him once a week and just have a dialogue and just, you know, put it all on the table, usually in 90 to 100% of the time, that coach is going to start respecting you and he's going to start playing you more, because a lot of players not going to do that. That's the 3% right there. 3% of players are going to go up to their coaches, and the 2% of the 3% are going to be players who have a good rapport with the coach. The star player, he going to always come talk to the coach. He going to always talk about this and that, because when I've always been a star player, so I always had good rapport with my coaches. But when I didn't have good rapport with the coach, and I got less playing time because I didn't go and speak to the coach. I had a good rapport with the assistant, but that don't matter. It's the head coach that make the decisions. Go speak to your head coach. Have a good dialogue with them. I'm telling you, it will make a world of difference about your opinion on that coach. Last tip I got for you guys, tip number 4, don't be a complainer. I said this a few different times, but what you speak, when you speak things to the universe, that it really does matter. So when you're constantly complaining about something, what it does, it starts to affect your behavior. It starts to affect your mood, and it starts to make you think the world is not pretty as it is, or your life is not good as it is, because you are constantly complaining. Do not complain. I read a book. I forgot the book with the name of it. I think it might have been The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Good read. It's a long read, but good read for you guys. But basically, this quote was, you got two options in life when it comes to a situation that is not in your favor. You can either, and basically they were saying you shouldn't ever complain. You have two options. Either you leave, you quit whatever you're doing, stop it completely. That's one option. Or two, you accept the situation for what it is and you continue to go forward with it, right? So I've always taken that advice and took it to heart. So I never complain about any situation I'm in. Either you accept it for what it is, if you know that you can't change it, so you just accept it because you can't change it, or you just change it. You just leave the situation. If you don't like the way the coach is treating you, do two things: leave the team, or you accept the coach for what it is and try to find a way around it. That's your only two options. So guys, don't be complainers. And another reason you don't want to be a complainer is because you don't know how the guys on your team think of you. So when you always complaining, you start putting that energy out there to those guys. They, especially the guys that's getting PT, they don't want to hear you complain. Nobody cares about you. So when you complain, you don't realize nobody cares about what you're talking about. Nobody cares about how you feel about the coach. Nobody does, because they worried about themselves. They worried about their minutes. And the only time guys like to complain with each other is the dudes at the end of the bench. You know what I mean? And then y'all both bringing each other down. Not to mention, if you getting any sort of tick, you getting any sort of playing time, you don't know how these dudes on your team are thinking, or what kind of guys they are. So these guys could be taking the information you're telling them and secretly telling the coach about it, or, secretly telling the assistant coach about it, which then gets to the coach, secretly telling the team manager about it. Then that goes to the coach. And then now you really ain't playing. You wondering why? Because you ran your mouth too much. You let everybody know how you don't like the coach. And now the coach don't like you because he heard rumors that you was talking about him. Those are my 4 tips for you guys. I know I could have said anything about a coach, but those are circumstances outside of our control. You can't control a coach, what type of coach you get, but you can control your attitude. But I'm out, y'all. Like and subscribe. Appreciate the support. I'm out.